Hi, and welcome to NEL5R. This is our second podcast episode. Thanks for joining us. I'm always Eric, and always here with me is Luis.
Hi, hello.
And Brandon.
What's going on?
And today we have a special guest with us, the dopest, cranest player, Devin.
Hello.
He does a lot of crane stuff.
We're going to do the new cards that have been spoiled to finish the Scorpion pack. Like, it's all done now, right? And then talk a little bit about just some, like, dumb mechanics shit, and then we'll hop into the next segment.
Let's see.
This one will probably be as short as the first episode was long.
Is there still an echo? If anybody's in the chat or the NEL5R Discord, I'm not sure why there would be, but I do believe you. I'm not sure what's up. Oh, he had two running. Alright, that's... Good job.
Alright, sick. We're doing it live.
We're doing it live. I'll cut that, don't worry.
Hit me with that first card
boom.
picture.
First card. Stolen Secrets. It is a One Fate event. It's a Scorpion card because it's from Scorpion Pack. Action: during a political conflict, remove one fate from a friendly participating character. Search the top 4 cards of your opponent's conflict deck for a card. Remove it from the game face down, and put the other cards back on top in any order. While removed from the game, you may play that card as if it were in your hand.
Sorry, I thought you were done. My bad. Who wants to go first?
I'll defer to you, man. You're a Scorpion player.
Okay, I'll just, go right in. This card's trash.
I agree.
It's 1 money, and you have to, during a political conflict, lose another money off a guy. So you have you've had to have pre-thought about playing this card, which means, especially in Scorpion, when you don't really fate your guys a lot, if you do your dynasty phase and then draw this card during your draw phase, you probably don't have a guy to use this on anyway. And even if I did, I'm not going to spend 2 money to draw a card when I could just draw another card out of my own deck.
Oh, I invited you to something. I didn't mean to. Anyway,
I agree with all that. I mean, I think you there's going to be some corner cases where you'll be like, oh, I'm going to find my opponent's a fate worse than death and totally blow them out, but it's going to be so rare that it's not going to be worth it for those extremely corner.
It's a 5+ fate worse than death. It's actually 6+ because removing a fate from a character is literally almost always worth more than 1 fate.
Right. So if we're removing it from a Kachiko or a Shoju, we're paying 6 money to draw maybe a good card off the top 4 cards of our opponent's deck.
Yeah. I mean,
or you could just spend your 40 card slots in your conflict deck just putting good cards in there instead.
That's exactly it. You just have to look at it from a perspective of I would say card advantage, because this is kind of a card that's intended to, open up an avenue for you, right? But you're spending that much fate to use a card from their deck, and it's, again, like you said, just another card from your deck would be fine. Just don't run this.
I can see where they're going.
A different card.
I can see where they're going, because it also gives you information, and if you lock your opponent into a 1 bid, you know what they're going to draw for the next 3 turns. But
so
that's so big a cost.
It's such a huge opportunity cost.
Yeah.
So I was going to say, side note, there was a strategy in the CCG that did this exact same thing, except it was free, and nobody played it then either.
Yeah, and now you have to spend a third of a turn's worth of money.
Yep.
Brandon, what are you thinking about this, dude? I'm sure you're over the moon.
He's gonna splash it in crab.
I'm gonna splash it in crab. No. It seems like they're trying to make this mechanic viable, or not necessarily this
concept,
substructure.
Nebulous concept.
It kind of makes me think Heartless Intimidator, and maybe one day it's not currently. I originally thought this card was fantastic. I was like, I'm gonna play 2 copies of this card.
He messaged me on Facebook. It was going off, and I was like, "What are you fucking talking?"
Yeah. So the problem was I didn't get the part where it says remove a fate from a participating character.
The shit would still be poop.
It's overcosted at 1.
No, but see, here's the thing though. At 1, I could play 3 of this and 3 Oracle of Stone.
Oh, here we go. That's gonna be a strat in the future, dude.
Now we're thinking.
Big shouts out to Europe. Yes. I can't wait to see that in the next Kotai season.
Yeah, I'm just gonna have to fly to Europe to play there.
Yeah. Backhanded compliment targeting them.
Yeah, 3 backhanded compliments.
Dude, you could deny them their. You could deny them their pillow books with this. Pretty sick.
I could.
Pretty sick. Let's check out the next card before I have a fucking aneurysm. I can already feel the blood trickling in my ears. Bayushi Collector. This is a lot more interesting. It is a 2 fate character, 1 military, 2 political, 1 glory with the courtier keyword. It is a conflict character that costs 1 influence. Action: choose an attachment attached to a dishonored character. Discard both that attachment and that character's status token.
Okay. So this card I am legitimately excited about.
I like
the fact that it is a 2-cost courtier.
It's a conflict character, baby.
Gigantic as a conflict character.
Yeah, I can't wait to play Crane again.
2-cost courtier with the C on the bottom is what makes it good.
Yeah. For only 1 bamboo.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually gonna say I want Devin to talk about it.
I can't wait to play Kill Crane
in the terms of Crane. Yeah.
I love this card out of Crane. I mean, anything that can remove dishonor status tokens plus attachment control is amazing.
I have a question rules wise? Do they have to even have an attachment on them?
Yes.
Yes, because you're targeting an attachment.
But you could just, you know, if something is clouded, there's an edge case where that happens, which is cute, like on your end.
What's actually kind of funny is that I was kind of ambivalent towards Peasant's Advice up until this card got spoiled.
Oh, man.
And
that's kind of cute.
Now that this is here, like, it's like, oh, okay, like I can pay for Peasant's Advice on, you know, my dishonored guest, and all of a sudden she's back to normal.
For sure.
Your dishonored
guest. My clouded guest.
Yeah.
Is what I meant to say.
Man. That is really cute.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, that's very, very cute.
So, from my perspective as a Scorpion player, I'm going to try and play this card. Like, the text could almost the text could be blank, and I'm still going to try and play this card because it's a conflict character with the courtier keyword that is relatively cheap.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 2 stats also. Just having 2 stats, like, as a conflict character. I mean, there was a point in time, and this may not have been the correct choice, but, you know, I'm sure you tested, and I tested Chickshaw, Scout, and Unicorn, and it was just a 2-fate 2-2 a lot of the time. And that's not miserable, but it wasn't good enough. But this, I think, will be maybe good enough for Scorpion's core.
Well, like, you know, if Chickshaw Scout had relevant keywords, that might have bumped him up.
That too.
But this is like a really relevant keyword.
The keyword is huge.
Yeah.
There's not many times where you wouldn't desperation pay 2 for the courtier keyword.
We were talking about in the first episode of the podcast how we might play, or we might test the Aoi Shigenja girl who can give out keywords as a contingency plan against not drawing courtier or Shigenja sometime. But like now with this, if this is in my conflict deck, I don't have to play her anymore because I never have to worry about not flopping a courtier, because when I'm drawing 5, 6, 7 cards a turn, I'm gonna have one of these in my hand in case I don't see a courtier.
Yeah, absolutely.
So now that card from when Aoi went from maybe being tested to probably never getting sleeved.
Mm-hmm. Although I still love her,
which kind of sucks. But yeah, she's
I don't think she's great. Yeah,
she's cool, but this card kind of fixed what I was hoping to use her for anyway. So.
And there's still gonna be times where, like, you know, having almost relevant text is good enough for this guy. Courtier is fine, but having the text where, like, you know, on occasion you just tell them to go fuck themselves when they drop a Pathfinder's Blade or a Reprieve. You know, you'd gladly trade 1 honor next turn for their Reprieve now. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
1 honor this
100%.
turn, I guess. Whatever the case ends up being. I mean.
Yeah. I would also say that I like this guy occasionally even for his ability. Like, even if it were a blank, it'd be fine. I mean,
this makes your Way of the Scorpion a kill spell.
Yeah, well, it makes your Way of the Scorpion a let go.
Right? Yeah, like it makes your Way of the Scorpion a let go in the clutch, and in the current meta, it really just makes it a kill spell against like Dragon or Crab.
Or, you know, when you force shame somebody, they're always going to pick the Dishonor, and then you can kick an attachment off them.
Yeah. And it also hits the attachment specifically. You choose that. So if they're already dishonored and they want a Finger of Jade, then that can go away now.
This does potentially shore up in the situation where you're kind of dealing with more conflicts, I guess. Potentially either trying to break or not let them break. It further solidifies Scorpion's foothold on the Crab matchup. Because our glory doesn't matter, so we just dishonor freely. You just get rid of one of our attachments and we feel miserable.
Yeah. Yep.
I haven't been feeling Sneak that much lately anyway. I've been kind of like not super high on him as I used to be, because
seems
people
like
are getting a lot better.
Roll in the money now.
Yeah. People are getting a lot better at managing fate, and like Sneak is nowhere near as good when people are sitting at like 4 to 6 fate instead of 1 to 2.
Yeah.
So I'm almost thinking I'm just gonna like drop 2 Sneaks and slide this 2 guys in and stay at my 10 conflict characters and be happy as a pig and shit.
Yeah, Sneak is just like a whack ass body with a good effect, right? And the effect becomes less good as players play better. Because at this point, everybody knows Scorpion's gonna hit you with a fucking Goblin Sneak. It's just the times where you can't play around it where it fucks you. When you can, it's just like, oh, I lost a fate, I guess. But you paid 2 fate for a guy, so.
Yeah.
But this guy's a beast. Let's see what we got
And
next.
the other reason you play Sneak is for military pokes, but this guy can also military poke, so.
Yep, he just runs the risk of, for some ungodly reason, being dishonored and whatever. Who cares? Then he political pokes.
Last thing to say about it, though. When we're comparing Sneak to him, Sneak cannot be policy debated, and this guy can, which is a downside, but I'd still take that trade, I think.
Yeah, I'd say it's a pretty low risk thing to worry about. Policy debate is almost approaching the point of one of those cards that you don't bother playing around, because even Crane players are just like, yeah, fuck it, dude. We got other stuff we could try.
I mean, if you're gonna run into it, you're gonna run into it, and you're gonna get bully dueled. It's not. It's
whether
it's just gonna happen now or later.
There's only so long that you could play around that card. Up next, we've got Make an Opening, using some old art. It's a 0 fate event. Action: during a conflict in which you control a participating character, choose a participating character controlled by your opponent. That character gets -X and -X military and -X political until the end of the conflict, where X is the difference between the bid on your honor dial and that of your opponent.
Brandon.
Yeah, so I'm just really excited to see Yunako finally something. She's out. She's like getting that guy to be like, oh god, what's happening? Please don't kill me.
What about the text on the card?
Oh, the text on the card. Yeah. No.
No?
Nah.
No.
All right, we're done. Let's go.
Yeah.
All right, we did it.
I will say, originally, I did think that this was much worse than it is, because I was thinking I had to be higher, but that's not.
Yeah, that's
the case.
what
it
I was
does
just
say
about
the
to
difference.
Say. This is one of the few cards.
Yeah.
This is one of the few cards where they don't say you have to be higher. It only matters like if one person is higher. So like there could be some uses in the future where people are not mashing 5 and like things could be flip-flopping around, or you could go like 5-1, 5-1, 5-1, like something weird. But like I don't know if I want to draw 4 less cards to give a guy -4/-4.
There's just not a world. Although this, again, it's another card that is, I think in some universe.
In chat saying Lion.
Lion. Does Lion manipulate bids?
I mean, if you're playing bid low Lion, right?
Kage.
Yeah, true.
But Kage would set your opponent's dial to yours, so this would be 0-0.
Yeah. I think they're just trying to open up the future. Like, for some ungodly reason, they want people to be running these bid dial cards, but they also...
they're obsessed with this bid mechanic.
That really means that they want people to run Maze of Illusion, and I don't think we want to open that can of worms.
No,
because I'm a staunch defender of that card, like, as a playable card, but I am not a staunch defender of that card by fucking design. That's another card that is just...
It just shouldn't exist. I mean, whether it's playable or not,
I've been in tournament situations where my opponent played it on me, and it mattered for literally the game. And it was just like, this entire game didn't matter until a coin flip now. Like, it's a terrible feeling, a miserably designed card. It's unreal. And I'm not looking forward to a deck that can somehow reach critical mass of bid dial manipulation and do that.
Maze of Illusion, just for, I know we have a newer person here. is you spend 1 and you pick another number on your dial secretly, and then your opponent has to guess odd or even, or horrible things happen. And it's
you get the better part of fate worse than death.
It's terrible because, we don't want RNG mechanics in our competitive games, but that's where we are.
At least in Netrunner, when they did the side games, like you could
yeah,
kind of play the mind game with your opponent and like come out to a reasonable choice. This is literally a coin flip.
And side games in Netrunner, for people who also don't know, it's secretly bidding 0, 1 to 2, 0, 1 and 2 money. And if your opponent didn't match your bid, a good thing happened for you. That's what it was, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So like that, you can actually make decisions because you can see
you spend it,
how much money your opponent. Yeah, and you have to spend money. Yeah. So if your opponent has, like only 0, if your opponent only has 2 money, you have them kind of pinned in and can kind of make educated guesses about their bids or about what they're going to bid. But like, there's no educated guess on Maze of Illusion. You're just setting odd or even. You don't lose honor. Yeah.
I mean, there is
one
a
seems
small
elegant to me.
extent of educated guesswork. Like, there could be a point in which you are clearly attempting to icon swim or some such. A 4 to 5 bid if for some reason they bid 4 on you.
Sure.
Like, it's edge
well,
cases.
I mean, most icon swim bids are 2 to 1 when you lock them into 1, and then you can bid 2, right?
Right.
But then this doesn't enable that anymore because you're gonna give a guy fucking -1/-1.
Yeah. I just don't see a world where it's that useful.
So I'm gonna say this card, I don't think it sees place widely, but I am a fan of funny interaction cards, and I would build a deck with this card in it strictly for Shoju and Aramoro when they came that last like point or two, and you can just finish them off.
Dude, slam your manipulator down.
I love doing combo stuff like that.
Fucking slam it, dude.
So like, what I was gonna say, if this could ever see play in a competitive environment, it would have to be consistent, good, playable dial manipulation cards to come out, and that's totally something that could happen.
They need to consider
in the future,
a card that is just okay, and then has like a decent bonus if you're above them or whatever. Like, they need to have a baseline effect, because the fact is, the overwhelming majority of the time, the bids that exist in this game are 1 in 5, and then there's like smatterings of 2 to 4, and that's like really rare. Right. Sometimes you scout bids, etc. Like, but you're rarely really, it's not that much of a thought process.
All right.
There's also, should we even discuss the potential card?
So it's, I mean, we already have enough cards from the pack. Definitely not coming from the Scorpion pack.
Right. It's confirmed not in there, right? Because these were the last 3 cards we were missing.
I thought there was still one missing.
No, so it's the card that, if you're taking from the count that we did, that we're missing is the support of the Scorpion. So it's definitely not there. But we mentioned it, so we might as well like talk about that. There's a rumor card.
Yeah, it's not even confirmed. But can you get the text up on the screen? I don't know.
Yeah. So generally,
or can somebody just read it?
Yeah, I'll just read it off. So, just to preface this, a lot of the times these leaks are pretty legit. People generally don't just like make up.
Most. Fortunately for us, most of the leaks are real. Yeah.
Yeah, like Yasuki Broker was known months before it came out. But anyways, this is potentially a card. It is Ambition. Those of you who recognize the name, it's a Scorpion attachment. It's a weapon. It's 2 cost, +3 military, +2 political. Ancestral and restricted words or keywords must attach to a unique character. As an action, you can lose 1 honor. The attached character gains 1 glory until the end of the phase. It's an unlimited action. Attached character is discarded if it has 7 or more glory. Never see play 2 fate attachment. It's really as simple as that, but it's still worth talking about because it is likely a card that will exist in the future.
Yeah, unfortunately, we live in a world where 2-cost attachments are just like full stop not playable, and I don't know. I think this card is cool.
I think it's fortunate.
I guess. I mean, I think some of the 2-cost attachments are pretty cool.
Yeah.
But
I just feel like Leko's a symptom.
Yeah, I mean for sure, but that's yeah.
Yeah, it's not here today.
But even like if you compare this 2-cost attachment to the other 2-cost attachments, like it's not even that good.
No, I was gonna say this is basically just a stat line for 2 Fate. I mean, realistically, the biggest things you would hit with it if the ability was gonna go off is something like Mitsu or Hotaru, something like that. So
3+.
yeah, I mean you're still losing 4
yes,
honor
just in case
and
your
2
opponent drops
Fate.
Sukune on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if they play like Yokuni or anyone really, like so my opponent drops Yokuni with 5 Fate, right?
Yep.
I'll pay 4 honor, sure, but like
But realistically,
but
you're
against
paying
Dragon,
3 honor,
it's
and then it's
realistically
getting let go.
yeah, realistically I'm paying any amount of honor and then it's immediately let go.
What I'm thinking is gonna happen here, just real quick, is I'm pretty sure this is just gonna come with the book, and they're gonna release it at a later date like they did with Fushikai.
We already know that the two. We already know what the two.
Yeah, and the book supposedly is coming out on
promos are
Thursday
coming
as well.
with. Yeah,
It's Yujiro and what? Or Yojiro and...
Yojiro and Infiltrator.
In that case, fuck it, I don't know, man. You
Yeah,
figured they would print all the clan swords. Actually, the Ambition is a blood sword, it's not a clan sword.
Yeah,
or
it's not
Yes.
the Scorpion.
So shouts out to
sword,
my
but it
boy
does have-
Yajinden.
It
if
does
he's
have
around.
that stuff like attached to a unique character thing though.
Yeah, that's
Right.
what I mean. Like it.
So like I could see them making this the Scorpion ancestral sword in 5R.
Rumor, I believe somebody told me Kachiko has it in the current lore, or might have it. It was like hinted. I'm not quite sure.
Well, so on
I am not fully caught up on the stories,
so supposedly
we gotta get Mike in here.
Shoju was the first character to ever use the sword, even though it was forged like 500 years.
Well, we're talking about old 5R.
Yeah, and old
Yes,
5R Ambition is what led Shoju to do all the things
Scorpion
he did
Clan.
essentially. And in this lore, I've only been told that it is. I don't think it's confirmed, but it was like hinted that Kachiko is the one who's in possession of the sword now, and it would make sense being as she's Kachiko.
Ryan in chat is asking what makes 2-cost attachments bad.
All right.
Let go.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
It's the dominance of attachment hate, like right now. So attachment hate is such a crucial part of deck building that we have people running cards that face value are simply not good. So Mia Mystic is like a prime example. It is the example. It's a card that costs 2 Fate. It's a 1/1 Shugenja. I think it has the Imperial keyword. But like, it's only run because you could sacrifice it to destroy an enemy attachment. It has some nice like benefits. It's a Shugenja, right? But it's just more attachment hate because the game has like a real critical lack of attachment hate right now. So Dragon being what is essentially the de facto splash
best decks
and best deck for every single clan, you're gonna see let go a lot, and there's nothing you could do to get around it.
I mean, it also doesn't help that that Let Go is a free card that removes any attachment,
Right.
so it's such a fate advantage to the person playing Let Go that it's just horrible.
It's incredibly high risk.
I've been saying since the game came out that Let Go should have been cost X, where X is the cost of the attachment it's getting rid of.
Yeah, we've been saying that for a while. Yeah.
So
why 2-cost attachments are bad? Because it's kind of like the it dies to Doomblade argument in Magic, but like this game, it's really really amplified because like people are drawing lots and lots of conflict cards, and they're always going to have like the Let Go in their hand, and because 2 money is actually a lot of money in this game, like spending 2 money and getting your card let go is like almost a blowout.
Yeah, I mean I would call it a blowout a lot of the time.
A lot of time, yeah. So like the 1-cost attachments in this game that do see play have to be really 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 strong, and if they're not really, really, really strong, they won't make it into a deck because you just can't run that risk.
Yep. It's there's a whole can of worms there that'll probably be covered on another episode, but
and everybody's packing attachment hate to deal with Dragon, Unicorn, and Crab, which are the 3 attachment-heavy clans. So you got to have some attachment hate in your deck to deal with 3 of the 7 matchups in the game. So everybody has attachment control.
Yep. There's also just, I would say the majority of clans just run attachments anyways. I mean, like, almost everybody...
At least some.
Every clan that can field it is fielding Cloud the Mind, and every clan that can't, the majority of them are considering or running Fantanas, except for Scorpion, which I haven't seen a Fantana in a long time, except for Ian. Yeah. But Ian is a madman.
There's a good amount of the Crane player base that also just goes zero attachment. We're basically just all in straight events and characters.
Yeah, I'm thinking that, I want to get your thoughts on it. I feel like that changes with Fumiki, personally, because I just want to run 10 conflict characters and, like, attachments and events, but I'm wondering if you feel differently. Like, maybe you just don't run the attachments and you just run events and characters?
So I guess it depends on how you go about deck building. Like, for me, I think I'll probably stick to the 10 characters and then events. Just because I like the mindset of shutting down my opponent's cards for not running attachments.
Yeah.
But I mean, the other thing is that if you're someone who likes test of skill, which I usually do, you don't even run the full 10 characters because you want to have consistency on the events. Fumiki kind of pushes that number up where you're going to want to run all 10. So with test of skill not being in the deck, you might find the case to start piling the attachments back in, at least Fantana.
That's how I was feeling about it, because Fumiki makes me immediately want to just jam 10 conflict characters, because that, I would say it's almost objectively the best way to make a deck. Like, if you could just start with 10 good conflict characters, you're probably off to a good start. But I was wondering if you were to go 30 events, 10 characters, would you still run Test of Skill? Like, I'm not sure what the math is on that.
I've done it.
If that was how you did it.
I've done it. I probably wouldn't. I try to stay. Basically, I try to go at least 32 events if I'm going to do
pretty
Test of
easy.
Skill.
At 30 and 10, it's 75%. If you're doing 4 cards, it'll be 3 of every 4 are events.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a duelist, then you're doing, more like half.
Yep.
1.75, 1.8.
Boy, I gotta tell you, as a Crane semi-player, I'm just really waiting for them to, like, give us Shugenja ever, so we could run Cloud the Mind. It feels like the biggest weakness the clan has.
You just can't play them.
They just suck. Like, Fu Sweet Disciple was close, and then there's, like, a couple words that make him shitty. Stuff like that. It would be nice, but who knows. Again, like, maybe we don't want to see a world where Crane gets enough Shugenja to Cloud, because they're already, like, a powerhouse. And I think Cloud not being able to be run in their decks is really, like, the final, element to make them just absolutely monstrous.
Yeah, it's just it's one of those trade-offs where you can do it. It just means that you're running characters in place of
significantly weakens your dynasty deck.
I also just really hate that. Like, I actually really like Aussie the Storyteller, but then you go against Phoenix and they just bow him. And so you pay for... I mean, you get some card draw off of him even if he's bowed, but it's still not great.
Big Shugenjas in this game, also scary.
Yeah,
so
feels bad.
Like, I'm at least fine with doing, like, say, the Asahina Artisan and the Fusui Disciple, and then maybe, like, Mia Mystics. Like, you could probably run it out of that base, especially if you're doing a Unicorn Splash for Wayfinders. Like,
8 is playable.
Yeah.
Unisplash is super strong, actually, right now for Crane. Like, really underrated. It's on people's radar, I think, but...
Keeper Crane, yeah.
Yeah, Keeper
but
Crane,
then,
Unisplash.
If you're playing Keeper Crane, you really got to load up on attachments and really change your dynasty deck.
Right, it's a totally different build.
Yeah.
But, like, being able to steer people into or out of Magistrate Station is so incredibly powerful that I do feel it's a legitimate thing. It just might not be the best thing right now.
No, it also gives you fun tricks with, since it's still air, you can run Frostbitten Crossing and drag people in. You drag their Neaton Master Tower into it and just bomb them.
Finally, Crane can deal with Neaton Master.
Okay, yeah, let's get into, real quick, let's cover the topic for today, which was,
Just honor, dishonor, and glory.
And glory.
I mean,
yeah.
we don't have to really do it real quick. We've got time to kill.
Well, yeah,
Like
we'll start it now, and then we'll roll it into the games. Unless you want to just talk about it now.
Yeah, no, I'd rather just, you know...
Oh, okay.
Chat
I
in
misunderstood.
general and have a full-length episode and then separate the games out, you know? Or not, you know, today.
Cool,
but...
yeah. I just want to make sure we have time for the games.
Yeah, we should be fine. One of them is relatively short, and the other one I could speed up.
So you, Luis, have, I think, the most feelings on the subject, so why don't you kick it off?
Alright, so I'll say that I think Glory is gonna be, and I think has been, a really, really, really difficult stat for him to balance for a long time. As a crab player, I can't fucking stand it, because when my characters get dishonored, or, you know, whatever the case may be, like, not only... So interacting with the number itself, I will be referring to specifically, like Phoenix, the way their old box does. But interacting with Glory, I mostly mean honoring or dishonoring characters. To re-honor a character in Crab, it's like one of the fucking 12 Trials of Hercules. If you dishonor my Shuichi, he's staying there. He could keep it. Like, it's just being that way. And I feel like no small part of Scorpion's dominance, and this isn't an excuse, nor is it to take away from the fact that they're good, but I think no small part of their dominance is due to clans not being able to properly interact with Glory. Not being able to, in time, stop themselves from hemorrhaging their honor. Not being able to, you know, honor multiple characters at the cost of resources or whatever. And so what you have is, you have characters who get dishonored and immediately become potatoed. Cards like Sukune, like if you cloud my Shuichi and dishonor him, I mean, he's nothing, etc. And clans, again, like Crab, who just simply cannot interact with the stat. We don't have cards that do it except for court games. There might be one that I don't know of because it's terrible. And you could see this becoming kind of more of a problem, or you could see this the power of this in action if you look at Dragon. So Master Alchemist was on people's radar the moment it was spoiled, but it wasn't necessarily viewed as a powerhouse. And I think as time has gone on, I think people can now view that card as the power that it is, because even paying one fate to a ring, so I mean you have the chance to get it back, right? But you pay the one fate and you essentially resolve the fire ring, and that's huge. I mean, it is such an incredibly powerful card. It has the cost attached to it, but it just kind of drives home the point that being able to interact with Glory is huge. I guarantee that card alone has helped the Scorpion matchup notably. It makes their beat sticks better. It allows them to just do stuff that they couldn't before. It allows them to have a more wide open game plan. Or before cards like Soul Beyond Reproach, for example. Before Soul Beyond Reproach, Crane could get a dude dishonored and like it could really fuck with their day. Your Yoshi or your Hotaru got dishonored and you had to invest multiple resources to re-honoring it or even getting it to normal. I just feel the game needs more cards that allow clans to interact with Glory in a healthy way, without hosing clans that rely on dishonor and without reaching a critical mass.
That last sentence that you just said is really what gets me, because yeah, like I was sitting at work thinking today, like, what is a way that we can get like other clans involved in this Glory game that like Scorpion and Crane are playing, you know, and like Dragon to a lesser extent and Phoenix to a lesser extent. You know, how do we get the clans that don't interact with the stat but are still getting fucked by it, by especially like Lion, who just randomly have really high Glory but like don't really have a way to interact with it besides Pride, which is like usually worse than it is good. So I was like thinking, you know, like a Lion card that's like kind of like a military court games that has a cost of having a higher military skill in a conflict or something. But then it's like, how many of those cards can you print before Scorpion is like, fuck, what am I supposed to do, you know?
That's the problem with dishonor and honor as win conditions. Especially, just like real quick, I don't want to go off on too much of a tangent, but I think I mentioned it before. You could see Scorpion losing a small bit of their dominance, just because like as soon as a clan is able to regenerate, you know, to gain enough honor back, Like, that win con that Scorpion rests on, if you're playing a good Scorpion player and you are a good player, a lot of matchups, like, it's a thin precipice. Even if they for sure win it, there's, like, usually a margin of honor that I'd say is maybe 3, in some matchups less, in some matchups more, where if they can gain enough honor, your win con is now, like, it's just not gonna happen. Like, you just can't.
If I'm winning in Dishonor, if I'm winning a game in Dishonor, which I would say I'd win 90% of my games in Dishonor, I'm like exactly, or maybe one more point of honor dishonoring you. Like, I pretty much always just get there, you know? Like, I do the math in my head and I'm like, yeah, I can get him from 7 to dead this turn, but like I cannot get you from 8 to dead this turn, you know?
And that kind of leads into why Crane now has become a rough matchup, because they have such a critical mass of ways to keep their characters not dishonored, let alone honored, that Scorpions, the precipice that their dishonor victory rests upon just crumbles away as soon as Crane steps into the picture. And that's going to be harder for them to balance in the future to keep Scorpion dishonor based if they want to.
Well, clearly they don't want to, right? Because they're not printing those sort of cards. I mean, they are, but they're doing this like Shinobi and we want to be dishonorable and get benefits out of it thing.
Well,
I mean,
again, you know, they said
they're... Right?
Well, they said at the beginning, in their defense, they said that this is not a pack to make the Scorpion deck that exists better.
Yeah.
It's a pack to unlock a different play style of Scorpion,
Right.
which I'm perfectly fine with. But, like...
It's kind of how I feel each of the packs should be.
Yeah, me too. There are lots of people that really... Well, the Phoenix pack, you know, they needed a fucking shot to the arm. Because, like...
Most hardcore Scorpion players are much more invested in the fact that they want to completely uninteractively dishonor people than actually enjoy playing the game.
I wouldn't say it like that, but yeah.
Well, I mean, it is a sweeping generalization, and obviously I'm hyperbolizing a bit here. But from my eyes, like, the majority of Scorpion players would feel really good if it was just like old 5R and they could lose a guy in a conflict and then dump 4 cards in their hand and make you lose 12 honor instantly. Like, they don't want... They want to play an uninteractive dishonor game so they can play some solitaire. And that's not always, like, a bad thing, but...
I mean, I want to do the same thing in Crane, but...
With honor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and that's the thing. Like, these win cons are inherently prone to toxicity. Like, card...
I just kind of feel like the Scorpion playstyle attracted a certain type of player, which is not, like... I don't think it's uninteractive. I just think it attracted the hardcore control player who is coming from Magic the Gathering and wants to play like blue-black Drago control.
Oh yeah, I am that player.
That's the way. Yeah, that's how they like to play the game. And like they saw this faction, and they're like, oh yeah, this is my jam.
Draw 5 and say go. Whoa.
Yeah, it's 5 times better than draw 1 and say go.
So I think also it, you know, just as far as the 2 archetypes go, like I think the reason that we've seen Scorpion be such a powerhouse initially, like the Crane wanting to get honor, or really anybody, maybe Lion or whoever wanting to get honor, like players don't naturally tend towards like gaining honor, right? Because the whole mechanic that everything's based around is drawing cards to lose honor.
Right.
So like losing honor and is what your opponent's already doing for themselves because they want to draw cards. So
and
like
unopposed conflicts.
Yeah, and unopposed conflict.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
so
no
like
honor gain in the framework.
If you went in for an unopposed conflict and you gained 1 honor because your opponent didn't defend, then I think what we would have seen early in the game is the complete opposite, where Scorpion archetype of trying to dishonor people be completely impossible, and then the Phoenix like clans Lion and Crane being like 25 honor in 80% of their games.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, the rumor is that the original cutoff for winning via honor was 20, and it was way too easy to achieve, and that makes sense. It's a lot easier to gain 8 than it is to lose 11.
I mean, when you, as in Yojin no Shiro, starting on 12, and then you 1-bid and go to 16, you're almost done.
The way that Chrysanthemum actually wins you a game turn 1 in that case.
Ooh, yeah. What a feeling. Hey, there's still the Christmas Land Unicorn deck where Chrysanthemum could win the game turn 1. I mean, they've outright said, I believe in AMAs, they made honoring out a less feasible win condition purposely because they want to be careful with
because they were scared.
Yeah, it's scared of, it's very
I think it's a healthy thing to be afraid of.
I actually do think Dishonor is more interactive. Like, I know I joked and said interactive, but it's just way more interactive. Like, historically, Honor decks in old 5R, again, different game, but historically they were almost entirely uninteractive.
Dishonoring your opponent's guy is inherently interactive because I'm interacting with your card.
In the new game, though, you're forced to be interactive in the sense that you have to go and fight anyway, because if you're going for an honor victory, you have to go for the air ring or the fire ring. So you're forced to get into fights. Whereas in the old game, you could just go, nope, I'm gonna stay on my side of the board and just do what I can.
I'm gonna sit here and do nothing, and then I'm gonna like have an event that lets me gain honor, and you can't do anything about it. It's just there was all sorts of bad stuff going on back then.
See, the way you guys describe it, I think it was a healthy thing to be afraid of. So I don't fault them for it.
Absolutely. It's very healthy for them to like not want to, make it too easy to honor out. The issue is like honor and dishonor being such opposed win conditions, and dishonor being a core part of the game for every clan period. Like it's gonna be really difficult for them to probably ever balance all three of these at once. Conquest victories, dishonor victories, and honor victories, because there's going to end up being a ton of rock, paper, scissors and really polarized matchups. There's going to be matchups where certain clans just can't interact with your glory or your honor enough, whether it's for better or worse. Whether they can honor themselves or dishonor you.
I think that the more interesting thing and better thing to focus on is glory interaction than like honor versus dishonor victories, because like I know Devin's not going to agree with me, but I'm happy with honor running being something that's kind of just like slammed in the back pocket for now, and I really would prefer that it not ever become a too real of a thing, because that it doesn't sound like it'd be a good meta. I mean, I guess it could be, because it would bring in a whole different play style, but like I think before we get there, we first have to figure out how to get the other like 4 or 5 clans in the game to like interact with this stat that you can't interact with right now, beyond like Way of the Crane and Way of the Scorpion, which
beyond
are not
court games, which every clan has to run 3 of like forever.
Yeah, so like you get your court games in every other deck, and then like Phoenix gets Benton's, which is
pretty big opportunity cost.
Yeah, it's okay, but like
I mean, but Phoenix has to pay a higher tax for access to that ability because they're the glory
spell
clan.
Keyword too.
Sure, of course.
Right. They have all this glory, but they can't interact with it.
See, that's why I'm concerned. Like Phoenix is the clan I would want to watch out for, where if they print any more neutral or splashable ways to get your guys honored, then there's going to be huge Phoenix guys just running down provinces.
Reproach, dude.
I was just going to say, we're already seeing the rumblings with Soul Beyond Reproach. Like people are, it's starting to catch steam in a way that makes me afraid.
Sukune might actually be like remotely usable, possibly? Question.
I still don't think so, but
yeah, I mean, with all the 4 conflict clans going around right now too.
Yeah. Plus, I think Phoenix has better 5-cost characters now.
I mean, so, they've got multiple better 5-costers, and the only one that's
the 4
Tadaka, so let alone Sukune.
The 4+ slot in Phoenix is fucking crowded, like half of the faction.
Yeah.
It's basically on par with Crab in terms of how top heavy they are. Probably more so in Phoenix.
I think more so, yeah.
I think it's tough in
I mean,
like, Crab just likes to be top heavy because of stuff like the Casada codes,
cheat codes.
Yeah, Reprieve and Iron Mine. But I think.
I don't know. I was gonna say, but Crab's big guys still, because you want to have all your Witch Hunters and Shuichi and Casada, and like it's about on par with what the Phoenix players are running.
Yeah, I'd say Crab more so, but it might be less that we're more top heavy and more that Phoenix have like good 1 and 2 drops, and Crab has exactly 2 of those.
Crab's just running what it can right now.
Yeah, which is fine. Like we're just running.
You'll get cardboard soon.
Yeah, next cycle, dude. Just you wait. It's gonna be sweet.
It's Year of the Crab 2019.
Hell yeah. So like
you heard it here first.
In terms of speaking of just costs of cards, they seem to have done this thing, and it seems like they did it on purpose. I don't know if they've said so, but I mean it seems pretty obvious. They seem to like jamming a ton of good cards that cost the same amount into one clan. Their intent seemed to be like 4 drops in Crab, for example, 5 drops happening in Phoenix, although 4 drops in Phoenix as well. 2
then
drops
you
in
have
Crane, 1 drops in Scorpion.
I was gonna say the winner of this whole thing being
every
1 drops
single,
in Scorpion.
Well, I was gonna say the winner of this whole thing being every single cost at any point in the game for Dragon, but yeah, 1 cost Scorpion.
Yeah, sure.
Like the only outlier is the fact that Dragon has a ridiculous embarrassment of riches at every single cost in the entire game. Like every single cost, they have multiple playable cards. Super.
But it's in theory, it's balanced by the fact that like their conflict deck is literally just buffs.
Right. But then you look at their stronghold, which people seem to like not do, and their stronghold is incredible. Like their stronghold's probably top.
It is
3 or 2.
The 3rd best. Yeah.
Like it's only the best after the broken ones. Like
yeah. It's the best realistic one.
Yeah. So I mean, basically what I was getting at is I'm wondering and I'm hoping that they're more keen to break away from this idea that they should just overload certain clans with certain costs.
I feel like at some point the dam has to break.
Like give Crane some cards that can't be assassinated, and give Crab like some cards, and give Scorpion like
just any
a few cards too.
The funny thing in Crane is that like we have a couple of stellar cards in the other card slots where everything else just butts up against them, like Challenger in the 3 slot or Guest in the 4 slot. Like it makes looking at other cards in the same area like you're like, why bother?
Yeah.
Pretty much. It just ends up being, too much. No, Mike, Taka is not a card.
Corset is just real strong. I was given an intro game yesterday, and I was talking to him. He was asking me like how important the core set is, like getting 3 cores. And I was like, well, let me take you through my core Scorpion deck and show you, or not through my competitive Scorpion deck and show you how many cards are core. And I was shocked at how much of my deck is core.
Yeah, I mean, I think core in general translates to a lot of clans. Like, even Unicorn still uses a bunch of good core cards. Even the clans that were not good in core are still using a bunch of core cards because it's just missing pieces, right?
Of my 80 cards, like, it's got to be at least like 60 or so were core set. At least more than 50.
I'd say I'm probably usually about the same.
Yeah, I was just surprised. I thought it wouldn't be as much. I had never really thought about it.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it as like your clan's only getting a couple cards per pack anyways, and they might suck, like more often than not they suck, it makes a little more sense. It's also like the core set having laid the foundation is what people are by default building off of. So there's not there's no weird wonky strats that they're building off of. Like the Unicorn players playing Golden Plains Outpost, they're literally extinct now. Like God rest their souls, all 2 of them. So it just makes sense that core has stuck around in the way it has. There's just not enough cards coming out. Whether that's good or bad is a different thing, but
well, I think that's where the clan packs should be focusing, like we were saying before, where the clan pack should be introducing new archetypes, which will help people build in a different direction than just keep on to the core build that was around. Which is kind of like I'm kind of surprised they started seeding the Dragon Monk cards this early instead of waiting for their pack to just drop all the monks at once. But like they're kind of getting their stuff early.
Yeah, this slow burn into a playable deck is weird, but like it's better than nothing, I guess. And I'd rather they start expanding on another play style than just giving them more Neaton Master .deck cards. But we've run into a pretty big problem of Seal of the Dragon letting them take all the best monk cards and just play them in the Neaton Master deck, and now we're in this Frankenstein's monster nightmare of getting void fisted by Raitsugus.
Yeah, I mean, I said this to Ian. We were having like a conversation, and he mentioned Seal the Dragon being like a real linchpin card. I think there's more to it than that, although
I
it
don't
is a linchpin.
disagree. Yeah.
But my big worry is like, I forget what I said, but I said something about wanting the power level of Dragon decreased. And I think he said something like clans needing, just the card pool needing to expand so other clans can catch up. But my big worry there is like, if the game as a whole needs to be power crept just to somewhat rein in the fact that Dragon is unbelievably oppressive and all of their cards are incredible, like it just really worries me that is the case.
I mean it kind of happened in Game of Thrones, where Lannister was like the top dog for a long time, but then everybody else got their card bases in order and everybody kind of caught back up to him. And as far as I understand, they're actually not even that hot anymore, unfortunately. But it really came down to card pool issues, because they're kind of in the same boat that Scorpion was, where they had more tools out of the gate than everybody else. So everybody just needed time to get access to the same things.
Yeah, I just hope the clan packs do their job. Namely, I just hope they don't do berserker shit for Crab.
Why? I mean, what if they're good berserkers? What's wrong with that?
Do they have a dash on them? Because if the answer is yes, they're bad.
I said good.
So they don't have a dash on them.
Good cards.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't mind berserkers conceptually. I mind their implementation.
Yeah, so what you're saying is you don't want bad cards, which is different than you don't want berserkers.
I don't want their current iteration of berserkers, which is what they seem to be going with for berserkers. I think the only berserker without a dash is Crisis Breaker. I may be incorrect.
Yes.
No.
And he's the only one who's
Lion card. The only Crab berserker.
Oh, that doesn't count. Yeah.
A lot of people want Crab to push scouts. A lot of people want them to push Zerkers. Personally, I'm a Yasuki fan, but I don't like their implementation, so, I'll take anything.
I want to see some engineers.
I just want to see playable cards.
Yeah. I'll settle for playable cards.
I don't care. Cards. I just want things to suck.
Absolutely. Speaking of clan packs, Devin, what do you have hopes for the Crane clan pack? I know you like honor running, but are you purely on the honor train, or would you like to see duelists, or what's your thought process?
So my biggest hope would be for honor, because that's what I used to play. But kind of addressing what Eric said a while ago about the passive honor condition. I get why people don't like it and why people don't like playing against it. So, I'll understand if that's something that doesn't get implemented. In that vein, I would love to see a reprint of Esteemed House of the Crane from the old game, which was literally just bow game to honor. But
I want you to have fun, Devin. I'm just afraid of how you want to have fun.
Yeah. So outside of having viable honor, dueling in this game is bad, so I don't really want to see duelists. I'd like to see better Shugenja, probably, would be my biggest hope. Something that are a little bit more playable and maybe give some neat control elements.
What if they released, elegant, well-designed dueling cards?
Like if they continued the theme of the one Scorpion card, but actually made them good cards?
Offer Testimony?
No, the new...
Or
Offer Testimony is a cute way to do it, but the 3 costs...
I think it's a cool duel. Insolent Rival?
Insolent Rival, yeah. Much more interesting duel concept.
Yeah, if they do stuff like that, then I may be interested.
I think Offer Testimony is probably the best duel they've released so far.
Yeah.
Yeah, my big issue is giving up honor for, winning a duel, just, on a conceptual level, rubs me the wrong way.
Bad. Yeah, it's so miserable. You lose for
so that's basically why I don't like dueling currently. But they could add a lot of interesting effects to it, say, win a duel and cloud a guy for a turn, something like that. If they started doing interesting effects, then Sure, I'd live with it. I'd probably play it if that was what Crane was based around. Would be my favorite, but I'd give it a shot.
Tar-UGI is a good example too, Mike. Tar-UGI being the only duel that you can't really super bully duel. That is true, and I like that, and I also like the Insolent Rival approach where there's a legitimate, manner to... Because of all the outside forces for Insolent Rival,
there's a lot of
the
depth
duel
for
matters
that one.
more. Yeah, there's enough depth that your number pick actually makes a difference.
I like Offer Testimony the most because it gets rid of the whole dial, but...
Yeah, exactly. It's basically a duel. Like,
it's a duel on a different scale, but...
Yep.
Yeah. It makes me think of old 5R duel, right? Like, where the cards had the dial effectively.
Yeah. Focus.
Yeah.
Nick makes a good point. I do like Kazen's double-sidedness, where
he stinks.
I mean, he's a good.
His
he's
design's
a good
good though.
stat. He's basically a good stat stick if you can get him honored, which in Crane is easy enough to do. But like I at least like that like he gives your opponent a question. Like they have to try and figure out if you're trying to actually win his duel to an effect, or if you're just trying to eject and you don't care.
Exactly.
Yeah. So he presents an interesting set of questions, which is a bit more interactive than just straight up bully dueling. But he also lets your opponent make. He also lets your opponent pick who he's dueling, so it also kind of takes it out of your hands in a lot of cases.
He's offering a challenge.
So we talked about this last week, Devin, but since you weren't here, what are your thoughts on the Scorpion pack, and then our 3 thoughts on the Scorpion pack now that we have the last 3 cards, because we obviously were incomplete then, and then we will wrap up.
All right. As a whole, I like the new theme. I like the more aggressive theme they're pushing for. But I'm concerned that kind of like what you're saying is happening with Dragon. Is the same thing's going to happen here, where it's just going to be more of the current deck with whatever good cards fit into that archetype.
Oh, are you concerned about that? Because it's definitely happening.
Oh yeah, no,
it's
like definitely all of the have 6 or less honor cards. Like it's strictly better out of the current stronghold.
Mm-hmm.
If they had pushed enough to make the Shinobi theme be a like strictly better or a sidestep, then I think it would have been more to shake things up. But like, I don't really think it's gonna have a huge impact on the meta as a whole. I think it'll be fine.
Crane got the second best card in the pack because Alibi Artist is a fucking beast. Although I could be wrong. I do love Fumiki, but I think Alibi Artist
the top
is
3 cards are Fumiki, Tetsuko, and Alibi Artist.
Yeah. As a sub Crane player, I gotta tell you, I still am fucking salivating about Fumiki. The pack overall, I'm not a Scorpion player, although in my heart of hearts I probably am someday. There's a couple cards that are pretty nice. Like obviously Alibi Artist is a really, really good card. Just another role player for the deck, but like nothing really hits it out of the park for me. It doesn't seem to be opening up a new playstyle. I don't think Kyuden Bayushi will ever compete with City the Open Hand, and that stronghold is interesting, but it has some downsides I really don't like. Really, really don't like that 9 influence. I really don't like hemorrhaging your honor.
So actually, that was something else I did want to mention was with Kyuden Bayushi. I think a lot of people are focusing too much on the kicker for the 6 or less honor. Mm-hmm. Just being able to stand a dude is amazing.
Oh yeah, it's incredible.
That was basically the best crab stronghold in the old game, was just ready a dude.
Yep.
But again, they need to push the Shinobi theme or the military theme a little bit more.
They would need to be able to blitz before they just lost all their honor, because that deck is seemingly ready to just hemorrhage all of its honor away, but has no way to really like not lose to it. Like they would have to win fast enough,
Yeah, I mean the token removal stuff they're giving them helps, but I don't think it's gonna make it fully functional yet.
Yeah. Eventually, though.
Yeah, eventually. I think the cards, most of the cards that seem kind of irrelevant now with kind of a new twinge will effectively just either get better with time or remain irrelevant. But they I think that they did a good job making all of the cards bad, so Scorpion wasn't too overpowered. If that makes sense. Not bad, but like I think that they made a job. No, yeah. That like because Scorpion did so well in the last season, I think not having them get like 15 new ridiculously playable cards to just blow everyone out was important, and they succeeded. So well done, Fantasy Flight.
Yay.
So my I love that. It's great. Well done.
Give me your closing thoughts, Eric, because I want to know how you feel. I know how you feel, but tell me.
Yeah, we already talked about it last week. You think these 3 fucking cards changed how I feel about this pack?
How do you feel, dude?
Well, I mean,
it should make you feel better. You got a fucking conflict.
Yeah, I got one. I got one more playable card. Thank God, out of the 28.
Your god tier deck got like 3 good playables, dude.
Oh, my god tier deck. All right.
Sorry, your S tier deck that is only below a single SSS tier deck. My bad, dude. Sorry.
This pack sucks. I'm disappointed. Really disappointed. I'm gonna sleeve like less than 3 cards from it.
Duty, Alibi, Artist, Courtier, man.
Yeah, probably. Like, I'm gonna test a bunch of other stuff, but like, I don't see them actually making it into a real slot, like permanent slot. But I'm just a pessimistic person, so.
Hey, so am I. Really wish I was
I think it might be important to mention the Duty stuff that's been going on.
A what? Sorry.
Has anybody seen the big?
No.
Yeah. So it's not a huge deal. It's basically just like a minor thing that's been going around a couple of the groups regarding Duty and like how people misplay it really badly because they don't understand exactly how it works.
Because you have to prove you have it in your hand before you would lose. If you draw your cards, do the honor change, then you. I guess they just changed the framework ruling.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it's not that. It's that people are concerned about effectively the last few cards being a huge deal. Certainly, if you don't have it, you need to react with it, or you not react. You need to interrupt with it before the honor exchange, right? So if you know it's in the last 2 cards and you're about to draw those 2 cards, and you lose because you draw those 2 cards, you lose. You can't play it after you've drawn it. Interrupt. But also, I think people are concerned that you need to. It's necessary to know that the honor loss for the bid exchange and then the honor loss for shuffling your deck are different honor losses, and it won't do both. The concern is that we're going to see some people do the draw thing and then be like, "Oh, I didn't know that was a thing," and then how do we back up at Worlds? And also, I bid 5 with 3 cards left. I didn't know I had 3 cards left. Or bid 5 with 3 cards, lose 10 honor. No, I'll lose no honor. Judge.
Pay attention to the goddamn field, because if you misplay, that's on you, and any judge worth anything will tell you that's on you. If you don't know the ruling.
Well, but if you go past it and then figure it out later or realize later, that's on both players.
I can't speak on that one.
And effectively, just because this card is. The whole premise of it is the threshold is you're about to lose and this stops you. It's just like so. The stakes are high.
There's a lot of room for fucked up stuff to happen.
Yeah, there's a lot of room for somebody on the stream, in round 6 or 7 or whatever,
to cheat on camera.
To cheat on camera without either realizing it or anybody figuring
or understanding. Yeah.
Okay.
And again, when you play that card. You gotta make sure you see the dials and then confirm that you're playing it. Don't confirm before or after. It's really one of the main things. You have to have it in your hand, and you have to do it before you fucking draw new cards. Because if you draw cards and then you go, "Oh, I got Duty," you lost the game, bud. Sorry.
Let's
call it that. Some games.
Yeah. Well, I mean, arguably, if you draw cards, you don't get to draw cards if you've lost the game, but. Yeah.
Right, but if you drew cards, then you can no longer prove that it wasn't in your hand, and so you threw the game away.
But you've already done something that's not okay because you weren't allowed to draw cards because you've died already. Yeah, it's definitely not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
I agree. It's a little worrying, but I'm sure we'll get through it.